Time to talk true crime, and today I'm going to be covering the case of Brian Shaffer. Columbus, Ohio, in 2006 at the Ohio State University, a young medical professional with a bright future, a night out, a look into the security cameras, and then nothing. No trace, no body, and no conclusions. Brian Randall Shaffer was born in February of 1979 and was a 27-year-old medical student at the Ohio State University, where he also did his undergrad in microbiology in 2003. It starts out as any other evening would. He finishes up studying, goes to dinner with his father, and then is ready to go bar hopping with his friend named William, aka Clint Florence. At some point in the evening, Brian and his friends decide to go to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. This bar is on the south off-campus area of Ohio State. They get to the bar at approximately 1:15 a.m. per security camera footage when he's seen going up the escalators entering the bar. Brian is seen outside of Ugly Tuna talking to two women at 1:55 a.m. and it appears he turns around to go back inside the bar, and this is the last time that Brian Shaffer has been seen since 2006. You might be thinking at this point, if they can see him coming into the bar on CCTV footage, why can't they see him leaving? There is no security footage of Brian Shaffer ever exiting Ugly Tuna, and that's why this case is so baffling. Brian's friends, Clint and Meredith, assumed he just left the bar because they looked around, called his name, and didn't see him anywhere, no trace, so they assumed he just walked home. The next morning is when it's confirmed that Brian truly is missing because his girlfriend, Alexis Wagner, is waiting on him to go catch their flight. Call, voicemail, nothing. So she heads to the airport. Brian never shows. Brian's apartment showed no signs of a struggle. His car is parked, his bed is made, his books are in place. Nothing out of the ordinary. This is when the police start getting involved and they review the CCTV footage of Ugly Tuna, surrounding businesses. They find nothing. So they start looking at possible exits, including service doors or even possible hidden routes. Now the search is on and they're looking in the Olentangy River, the sewer system, dumpsters, hospitals, shelters, and this brings no leads. So now comes the interviews. They're interviewing anyone they could think of, friends, bar staff, people in the CCTV footage, bystanders, anyone at the bar that night or near the bar. They ended up interviewing over 100 people, and guess what? Nothing. No one knows where Brian Shaffer could possibly be. So now comes the polygraph test, just to see if anyone had something fishy they were trying to hide. Brian's father agreed, Brian's brother agreed, Meredith Reed agreed, and the only person that didn't is Clint Florence, the friend that originally was going out with Brian. So there was an instance when Alexis, Brian's girlfriend, did call his cell phone and it ended up ringing multiple times, which you know doesn't work if your phone is dead or disconnected. It actually did ping a cell phone tower about 14 to 15 miles outside of Columbus in Hilliard, Ohio, but officers said that this likely was a glitch. Nothing ever came of it. There are a lot of theories as to what could have happened to Brian Shaffer or where he could possibly be, so I'm going to touch on a few. Theory number one is that Brian could have just chosen to leave his life behind due to the stress of medical school and the grief of his mother, who had unfortunately passed away from cancer right before his disappearance. This one's hard for me to swallow because on all accounts, his relationship with his father and brother were pretty strong, so if they're all grieving the mother together, then why would he just up and leave them behind to grieve him as well? Outside of my personal opinion on this theory, there is no proof to show that Brian Shaffer is still alive anywhere. There is no credit card use, no phone use, no bank accounts. He missed his flights. There was no CCTV footage of him at the airport, which is covered. His car, his apartment, his life was all kept in order. And even his friends and family don't think this one is very practical. Theory number two is the construction behind the building. There was a parking garage being built, and people think he may have fallen in, maybe trapped in the cement, or some of the building was not in use and he may have gotten injured or trapped or fallen in. They did bring cadaver dogs out to test this theory, but no body was found and they did not pick up any scents. So the theory was kind of pushed aside at this point, and that parking garage is still standing behind the South Gateway area. Theory number three is that Brian had been abducted through a back exit that wasn't caught on camera. A lot of people try to tie this to the smiley face killer, which is a speculative series of deaths that are linked together, but police have reportedly ruled this one out. Theory number four is technological issues. People assume that the CCTV footage could have cut out or that the cell phone tower pings may have been off at this time, but there's also no proof of that. There have been sightings of Brian in the States and overseas, but none of these have been confirmed. His father, Randy Shaffer, searched tirelessly for his son. He put up flyers, he was holding searches, and even contacting psychics. Randy Shaffer, unfortunately, would pass away in 2008 in a freak accident when a tree branch fell on his head before ever being able to find out what happened to his son. This case has been cold ever since, and true crime fans have obsessed over trying to find out any alternative path that Brian could have taken, where he could be. Could he be alive? Where could he be? In 2021, an age-progressed photo of Brian Shaffer was released by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and I am going to post it here. This case, unfortunately, is still unsolved. Brian Shaffer has never been found, and his whereabouts are still unknown. Law enforcement does still accept tips regarding this case. They've had a couple of leads, but nothing that became conclusive. The community around Columbus, Ohio still follows this case, and I personally can say that for a fact. Spanning across the country, it remains one of recent U.S. history's most puzzling missing person cases due to the surveillance footage paradox. Most puzzling questions to me are, how was he seen entering the bar on CCTV footage but never seen leaving? Were there blind spots, unauthorized exits? Did someone sneak him out? Another question I have is, why was Clint Florence, Brian Shaffer's friend he was with that night, the only one to refuse a polygraph test? What would your reasoning be? Wouldn't you want to help find your friend? I thought the cell phone tower ping would be a bigger lead, but unfortunately investigators did say that there was low confidence in the validity. But still, it's something, right? That's really one of the only pieces of evidence in this case. 20 years, 2 decades without answers. For many, Brian Shaffer is gone, and for some, he may still be out there. What we know is the night of March 31st into April 1st started off ordinary and ends in a mystery. Millions of frames of videos, hundreds of interviews, countless theories, but the one question remains. What happened to Brian Shaffer?